Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jolene's Happy Time Craftcast. I am indeed Joleen, and it's very wonderful to see you today. Before I bring on today's guests, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about lately is authenticity. And as a content creator, yoga teacher, art student of art, and person who presents themselves to the world all the time, this is something that I think about, and it's an awareness for me, right? Like that I come to you and present my authentic self, not a character, but who I really am. And today's authenticity is I have been burning the candle at both ends. So has my husband. It's retreat season here at Big Raven Farm in Spring Grove, Minnesota. And we have been so busy, and not like the kind of busy where you're like, oh, I'm so busy. More the kind of busy where we're not really sure that we're getting enough sleep. We're definitely not eating right. And we took a big bite. Like we took a really big bite. And I guess what I wanted to say about that is we know the bite we took. And what we're both working on is showing up as a decent human being when we're in the pinch. And today I was just saying to Darren that I was so proud of myself that I have not yet broken down and cried about how stressed out I am and how tired I am. And I was kind of like congratulating myself for holding myself together. All that being said, I'm still in my pajamas. I haven't brushed my teeth. I put makeup on top of a dirty face, and I am a person in need of some time for self care. And I know that I'll get there. I know that I will. And I'm also aware of the bite that I took. I took this bite, right? Like I made these decisions and I need to get through it. And I guess my kind of idea for today is that showing up authentically means it's the unshowered version of yourself, as well as all of the other things. And however you show up is how I'm grateful to welcome and receive you, because I am in no way a perfect person. And I just wanted to share that I'm going through it. I'm going through it, but I know that we're going to get to the other side, which is why today's guest. It's kind of perfect timing, really, because the person that we have today, her name is Kerry Burki. And Kerry is an author, a yoga teacher, and an intuitive mentor. She's got two books under her belt. One is called it's Vibrations. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Carrie, I had it right here. Well, I'll have her tell you about that, but it's two books about vibrations. And she is got such magic about her, especially for creative people. And so, given where I am right now as a creative person, it's just perfect timing. So I know you'll do a good job in welcoming Carrie to the Happy Time Craftcast. Carrie, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Remind me the two names. Vibration,
Okay, we have 10 to your
tend
vibration.
to your vibrations.
Yes, and that's kind of like a guidebook that has like how to learn, like use nature, breath, imagination, thoughts, and energy to kind of get unstuck. You can just
Yeah.
open it up to a lesson, and that's really nice. And then my latest one I co wrote with an astrologer friend, and it's called Stellar
Stellar
Vibrations
vibrations.
Living by the Zodiac. And so it teaches you about each zodiac season and like new moon and full moon rituals to do each
Right.
season. But your beautiful share at the beginning was amazing. And I always appreciate when people share like that, especially in our world. Like, there's times when I get to a certain point of the day and I'm like, I haven't brushed my teeth.
Yep.
And you kind of do feel this like, because my husband will be like, how have you not? And I'm like, it's just been that kind of day.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
apparently he will never do that. So I was like, I appreciate your
Oh,
honesty because we do have those days. And I feel like
definitely.
no matter when people are listening to this, there are probably people feeling like you are right now. That I
Hmm.
thought we might want to pause and start and just do a little like breathing and just take a moment for Jolene and for all of
Yes.
us. Does that sound good?
Yeah, for sure. Guide us, Carrie.
Okay. Well, it's funny. I think we'll just do a couple different uh, breathing exercises. I had one planned, and I think we're going to add maybe two more just for your sake. So, in my one of my books, it's called Lunar Breath. You think it was in the Stellar Vibrations one, but it's actually in the other one. But it was like, and what it is, it's a calming breath, and you breathe only through your left nostril. And there's more information. So I'm just flipping through my book. But your on the left nostril is associated with more feminine energy, and it's calming. And it is nice if you're feeling anxious, frustrated, or just, overwhelmed. I have one
Yes, yes,
solar
yes.
breath. Yes. Like we have solar breath, and I think maybe we could end the call with that to give you energy for the rest of your day. So I do want to mention it's not recommended for people with low blood pressure. So if you have low blood pressure, you're just going to breathe through both nostrils. But if you don't and you feel comfortable doing this, what I'm going to have us all do is close our eyes. And let's actually just, I always like to do a couple shoulder rolls. So just like lift your shoulders up, feel like you're shrugging off your morning, shrugging off your day, maybe shrugging off your week. And you might just be shrugging it off for the time that we're together today, or maybe you're shrugging it off for good. But that always just kind of sends a little signal to the body and mind that we're pausing, we're releasing some stress, taking some time to ourselves. Okay, so then let your shoulders relax. And what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 fingers on your right hand and you're going to close your right nostril, and your mouth will be closed. And we're just going to gently start to breathe through our left nostril. So what I want you to focus on first is just see if you can make that inhale a little bit deeper than it was before and make your exhales a little bit longer. So that might be like really long and really deep, or it might be just a little smidge deeper than it was before. So usually when we're got a lot going on, and I know Joleen knows all of this as a yoga teacher, but like then your breath ends up being more in the chest area. So I want to see if you can maybe feel like you can get your breath to feel like it expands maybe in the rib cage area. If you have a little more space, you might even feel like your next inhale can expand down into your belly and your low back. And then when you exhale, feel, if you're getting it down to the belly, feel like you hug your belly button back towards your spine as you exhale. That'll make your exhale longer so that your next inhale can be even deeper. So I'm just going to be quiet for a moment. Let's do a couple more rounds on our own. Let's just do one more. And let those right fingers come down. Keep your eyes closed and just take a couple deep breaths through both nostrils. And so just, by having this call, Joleen, ended up having time aside for a little self-care moment. So you can open your eyes. And like one of the reasons I have that, my first book, Tender Your Vibration, is because I was a yoga teacher. And then I felt like when I had kids and my life got busier, I had a hard time having a long practice every day.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for ways to bring small, like things, small feelings from my practice, or pretty much like that feeling you get at the end of a yoga practice, how to bring those off the mat and into my day. And that's when I really got into breathing exercises and, just setting, sometimes I just do 3 rounds if that's what you have time for. Like you would just do
Right.
that 3 times. Or I love that we all have timers now with us, like on our phones or your watches, and you can set a
Right.
timer for like 1 minute and just do that. And sometimes we think we need so much more. And obviously there are times when it's nice to take that. But if you can work some of those smaller things into your day, it's just a beautiful
Well,
practice.
and I mean, Carrie, you've beautifully demonstrated that it's a nugget, it's a scotch, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a blip of time where I'm so grateful for the reminder because, like I said, I'm in it. I'm in the middle of the bite that I took, and like the only way out is through, and I would like to go through as a whole wonderful person and not a stressed out, frazzled, angry, short-tempered, version of myself. And I think that this, 2-minute activity is a great reminder that it's still accessible.
It is. I mean, and I feel like I'm learning to be gentler with myself
Sure.
too, that when I'm feeling right, like wound up or like how you're feeling, it's like
Mhm.
I'm like, oh wait, I'm not doing what I already know.
Right. Like, I know this one. Wait a second.
I know. And
I
I
have
feel like you can tell, like,
training.
you're running around, I'm short with people.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, it's because I'm not practicing what I preach. And then that's what
Right?
happens if anybody's listening when you're a business owner and you do start to share what
Mhm.
like I know so many like people creative business owners, and all of a sudden you have less time for your craft because
Right.
all of a sudden other things are taking that time that you really do have to be intentional and remind yourself or be open to having those
Mhm.
reminders come to you from other
Right?
people, from the
Exactly.
universe. Yes.
So, Carrie, can you tell us a little bit? So, like, in my introduction, I mentioned you have, the two books, the Tend to Your Vibration and Stellar Vibrations, and you are a yoga teacher, and you are a mentor and intuitive guide. So, like, when somebody says, "Hey, Carrie, tell me a little bit about yourself," like, what do you say?
Well, it's so funny. I took this course years ago that was saying, like you're supposed to have that like elevator
Elevator
pitch.
pitch. Yeah, it's like 2 minutes.
And
Yeah.
this person said, she goes, it's so much more fun just to say the last fun thing you did for work.
Right.
And I was like, I like that. So, like, right now, I mean, if somebody asked me right now, I would say, I said, oh, I just released, I had a book published called Stellar Vibrations that I
Yep.
co-wrote with my friend who's an astrologer. And her intention, she had saw my first book, and my first book, you can see my creative side. It's like every
Yeah.
page is very colorful. You can just open it up. But she loved how you could
Mhm.
open it up and learn something. And she
Yeah.
was saying, like, with astrology books are very text heavy
Mm,
and can feel like a lot to take in. So we
sure.
want to, like, and that's kind of a way, like, I express like my creativity, how to take something that's larger. It would take a lot of time. I mean, it's like I said, like, how did I take like my yoga practice and like put it throughout my day?
Right.
It's so then that's kind of what we did, is that you can open this book and learn a little bit about Scorpio season really quick and learn what to do. Like, there's a new moon in Scorpio this Friday, November 1st. And so some of the, like, it's a little ritual. And so it's the
Mhm.
same thing. That's like a form of self-care, of like to take a
Sure.
little bit of time away. So I say my big thing, and something I'm kind of even coming into better, if there was an elevator pitch,
Yes.
is I don't really feel like I have the answers for anybody, but I am very good at holding space and inviting people to take a little
Mm,
moment away from their lives. I
right.
create this space that is just welcoming, and that then people end up can quiet their mind and like have something drop in for based on whatever they believe. Maybe it's from their heart, maybe it's from an ancestor, maybe it's from their higher self, and then all of a sudden it gives them maybe that perspective, that clarity, or that next step they were
Mhm.
looking for that they weren't getting before, when you're feeling like everything's coming
Right.
at you and you can't keep up.
Right. So where can our listeners find you, and where can they find your books?
So I'm most active on Instagram,
Okay.
and it's Kerry_Burki. And then I have a pretty, once this last book came out, now I'm doing
Mhm.
monthly new moon and full moon circles, both in person at my home in
Mm,
Scottsdale, Arizona, and online.
okay.
And those are, just a way to kind of tune in and get quiet. You don't have to come, twice a month. You kind of see maybe what the theme is and
Mhm.
what your schedule is. And, those are changing. And so I really like to kind of get into seasonal living. Like, I do like equinox and solstice yoga classes. So I'll have a winter solstice yoga class coming up that'll be online. And so
Wow.
my website is kerryburki.com.
Okay, well, I'll make sure we link all of that in our show notes so that people know how to find you. So, can you tell me then how do you connect, what you do with your authorship and mentorship, and how that relates to art and craft?
Yes. Well, it's like, so I think when I was growing up, I wanted to be an artist,
Yeah,
but I can't, I don't want to use that word. I'm not the best natural drawer. You know what I
me
mean? Like, I'm
either.
somebody that can just,
I
and I
can't do it.
don't think I understood, and I don't think I knew all of the ways to be creative.
Right.
But so when I was in college, I actually started pre-med, and that was because I thought I should,
Sure.
and then I learned that, and then I took a Hinduism class as an elective at the same time I took my first yoga class. This was at Northern Arizona University. And I mean, just, I was like, I don't know what, who in the universe brought those two for me to do at the
Sure.
same time. And then in my Hinduism class, I just kept raising my hand. My background was I was a Catholic school. So a Hinduism class, I just had so many questions and I
Sure.
was raising my hand so much more than in my like chemistry and physics class. So I ended up switching to that
Hmm.
and became a religious studies major. And then when I even think about it, it would be interesting. Like I remember like Tibetan Buddhists came in town and they did this big like sand mandala.
Right.
And, there were some like I remember, I think it was Hari Krishna's, and I feel like that's like always like a college thing, but like they had
Right.
like a dinner that was like a creative ritual, and so it was interesting when you start studying,
Mhm.
like how much creativity is in like religions and spirituality, and then it just kept like showing up. So I went on from like getting my degree in religious studies to becoming a yoga teacher, and I found that was a way for my creativity to come. I had this like book that like an empty notebook when I would like sketch out the like a little
Yep.
person doing a
The
yoga pose,
sequence. Yeah.
right? And coming up and pulling stuff in, and I was like starting to go like, oh, there's so many different ways to be creative. And then I ended up to supplement that, like this was in my 20s, I got a job. It was called Waste Not Paper, and it was I think it still exists, it's the wholesale side of Paper Source. And I still remember when I saw the ad for that, it showed like their paper, and there was like a big like yes in my body, like the creativity and seeing that. And so then I was able to like travel to their like the New York gift show and the San Francisco gift show and the stationery show. And I was just like, gosh, I love being around. I have
Okay,
bright colors,
I can't
creativity.
hold my, oh my gosh. Like, my thing is paper. And like, that must have been like, I would want to touch it all and play with it all and like keep all the scraps and like, that must have been amazing.
I still have scraps. And I was like, and
Oh,
that was a while ago because I love, and that really did. It started like a love for paper, and it was neat, like the
yes.
designers and I love the travel. And so I feel like I used to feel okay, that's my pug Leo in the background
That's
that I
okay.
did meant to mention. I was like,
It's a safe space for four-legged friends. No worries.
Leo, you're good. Um, but then it was, when you're younger too, I kept feeling like there were some shoulds, like, oh,
Sure.
well, I should do yoga. Hey, Leo, come here. You're okay. You're okay. He keeps me safe, my little pug.
Of course, he sounds like a great protector.
Yes. So I would go, like, oh, I should be teaching yoga more. And then
Carrie, we lost your audio.
got pregnant.
There we go.
Oh, things
You're back.
started to fall into my lap a little bit. Like I got pregnant and I, didn't want to be going to the office all the time. And then I ended up getting a job for this woman who had a company called Handmade Success. And she had like teaching people how to sell on Etsy.
Okay. Okay.
And so then I helped her out and I was really good with the like working with all the clients, making connections
Yeah.
and just learning how to weave in what I knew with yoga with people who, were in the arts, which I feel like, I
Mhm.
learned a lot when you like travel and meet people like you were doing, right? Like
Mhm.
you're kind of burnt out. And sometimes when you try to get your business out there more, then your craft falls to the side, your self-care falls to the side.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
what I've learned over the years, and that's why like my first book is called Tend to Your Vibration, is if you're in this like sense of like lack or tension, it's hard for some of those opportunities to flow in or for you to see them when they do or
Mhm.
for you to have the bandwidth for them when they
Right.
do you
Well, I
know
think so some of your language that I really identify with is like space or like sometimes I as an artist, I feel like my next great idea, it's just on the other side of the ridge, like it's because I've got some great designs. I mean, I've made some great stuff, and whenever I make something, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to make it again. But then I never really do, because I'm more excited about figuring out and constructing the next great thing. But as an artist, I feel like it dangles in front of me almost like a carrot. and I just keep chasing it. Um, and when you said, I think you used the word seize, like sometimes it just can't get through to my like it can't manifest because I'm just so busy and preoccupied with all the other things. And like I would love to figure out a way to be a little bit more open so that the next great idea can find me. You must hear that a lot.
Yes. Well, I feel like even just that little practice we did at the beginning with that
Sure.
breath, if you then, after doing like the breath, if you gave yourself maybe just 1 minute to sit there, I feel like that's often when something like drops in,
Right.
like your mind,
Mhm.
or after doing that, when you go like throughout your day after. What I have had to work on is having less noise in my ear, like meaning
Yeah.
always listening. I mean, I love consuming other people's creativity, but like
Mhm.
making sure that you also don't have that going on all the
Right.
time,
Hmm.
and you mean just building it in your day. And I feel like people are different, but like I know I can't have it at the beginning of my day and I can't have it at the end of my day. Like
Right.
I mean, it's been years since I've like grabbed my phone in the morning. But it took me a while to realize that that just
Mm.
stifled me to have everybody else's creativity in my face before I had done anything.
Right.
Meant
That
even
makes
maybe,
sense.
yeah, if an idea did come in, I was already comparing it to what I'd seen,
Mhm.
that day. And so it is. It's funny that you said space, and I do feel like that's right. Are you creating that space for something to come in? And then, I mean, to give yourself a little bit of grace, like for right now, for you, I feel like you manifested all this stuff. Like you said, you took the bite, you
I took
wanted
the
all
bite.
of this. Um, and then for you to be like, good things, other ideas are going to come later when
Yes.
there's time.
Yes.
And then to like pat yourself on the back for all the stuff you did manifest. It's
Right.
like,
Like working in arrears, right? Like like back then when I was manifesting, it showed up now. And so, like I said, we took the bite. And I think, as a creative and as an artist, I I appreciate nuance. And I appreciate that um I think we talked about it on my last show, but we were talking about um if if I live my life like I am on a line or like on a train, like anything can bump a train off the tracks and it gets derailed. Like it can't pivot. A train can't like all of a sudden turn right or left. But a raft hits the rocks and it kind of slides up and it like goes down the river and it can adjust and it can pivot. And so I keep thinking about my life as a raft and not a train.
I
I don't
like
know if that
that.
makes any kind of sense, but it's like we hit the rock and we kind of slide this way, and then we right ourselves, but we're still heading down the river. Like we're still getting there, but we're better prepared for like the pivots and the adjustments. And artistically, that helps me too, especially when like as an artist thinking about more time to play and explore and not having such a train like mentality of getting to the end of a project.
Well, I like that because I was thinking like a raft usually doesn't stop, but it
Right.
could go at different speeds. Where if like a
Right.
train really does hit like a big thing, then it's like the train stops, everybody off. This is going to take a while,
Yes,
right? Like, and then
exactly.
it's like, does that keep happening, right? And then
Right.
you almost feel like almost feel like you're starting from the beginning again. Whereas you're right, like the raft can get different spots, and sometimes the raft could be going slow. Sometimes it could feel like rapids.
Right. It just depends upon the current, right? Like this is
Yeah.
such a great analogy because like right now I'm in a pretty heavy current. Like it's just going. And so, the only way to the end of the river is to ride it. So, but maybe, when you think about like the analogies and like being an artist and getting through and finding space, I sometimes just need that little something that helps me understand, where I am and what I'm feeling. And I know you have an idea too, about like a favorite project or medium or technique that kind of is another metaphor analogy. Would you like to share that with us, your project for today?
Yes. Well, something that I always thought about is that when you are like an artist or a crafter, I feel like you already have that. Like you do tune out the world and step in
Mhm.
and work on your project. And so it's like um, you're already doing that. But I think sometimes it's nice if you do something that maybe isn't like maybe you're not doing it for a profit or something, like
Right.
just to
For
get
an
your,
outcome. You're not doing it for like an outcome.
yeah.
Right.
But something I felt called to do recently, and I do teach, I've taught like vision board
Mm-hmm.
workshops over the years, and like just another way to kind of be creative. And I love it when I do it with, I teach at Craftcation, which is a
Yes.
crafters conference in April every year. And I teach these DIY Oracle cards. And it's just fun to do that
That's
where
so
everybody's a
cool.
crafter. I was like, they're just over the top, amazing. But so a vision board, a lot of times, you're looking at things you want to manifest and you're pulling it
Mhm.
on there. But I felt called to recently was more and create a vision board, and I made it small. And
Oh,
so, like, if there's video, I'm showing the video. This is actually like a paper source long card. Like,
yes.
but so it's just, instead of it being this big board that like hangs up,
Yes.
I felt like I wanted something smaller that could be like
Mhm.
on my desktop and where I meditate, that I could easily grab. And I wanted it more to like be the vibe I want to feel in my life, instead
Oh.
of it to be things I want to
Right. Things are
manifest.
outcomes rather. I love that idea. And a lot of my crafty friends that are listening are art journalers or junk journalers or, visual journal people. So the idea of creating like this, it's almost like a mini insert that you can move and carry around in whatever form of journaling you do. I love this idea. Love, love,
Yes,
love
I
this.
love, like, you could make it like small, like on an index card,
Right.
or if you did have like an 8 by 11 card stock and you just cut it in half to
Yep.
make it like a long thing. And then so you just grab magazines and
Hmm.
catalogs, and then at first you just start like cutting whatever's just jumping out at you,
Yeah.
and to try to maybe even do a little breath work before you start, so you're coming more from your like heart or your gut instead of
Right.
your
And get it
head.
out of your chest.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
being like, oh, I should want that, or I should want to feel that way, like just
Mhm.
kind of what makes you go, ooh, I like that, and like start cutting those things out. And
Right.
then, and so then I always say it's like the gluing part is last, like, so
Yeah.
cut just everything out, because some of those you might like, I like to have a little like envelope where I put things in that didn't
Yeah.
make it on the board for later.
Your little collage fodder. Yes, yes.
Yes. I know I have a couple because I was like, I do love collage. And
I do too.
then to start to play with like what feels good for now. So I feel like mine ended up having
Mm.
a little bit of like a fall winter like vibe of
Mhm.
just the colors, and it feels very earthy to me. But like I had found a photo of somebody doing tree pose in yoga, and but one of the things I liked so much was the colors. Like, so they were out in nature, like on the grass,
Mhm.
bushes behind them, and then like these maroon yoga pants, and then like a pink top. And so I had put it out there. So I mean, I did end up, I just found, I manifested those pants. So my intention wasn't originally to manifest the outfit, but the outfit and like the picture, just it made me feel good. And I want, like, as a reminder to do, to continue my yoga practice.
Right.
And it's actually gotten me, like, putting this on here has gotten me back in the habit of doing tree pose when I brush my teeth.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like I like stand on one leg for the bottom, teeth, and then I
Yep.
stand on the other leg for the other. And then last week I got in, or like the name of a company just popped into my head, and they had these pocket leggings, and I looked them up and they had that color, and so I ordered them.
Well, you said a couple things that like really standing out for me. So the first thing you said that I wanted to talk a little bit about was you said it feels good right now. Um, I l- I love that ideology because what feels good today might not necessarily feel good next week or next month. And I love the space for, I mean, we are situational creatures and the things that we need is variable, right? And so I really like find what feels good right now because that might be different. And then the other thing I wanted to say is you do tree pose while brushing your teeth. I either do squats or I get the dust buster and I dust up bugs because, I live on a farm. And so box elder bugs are all over the place because the farmers just brought in the fields. But I have to say, it might have been last week. I was brushing my teeth and I was vacuuming up the bugs and I put my hand on a wasp. And so the wasp stung me, but I had toothpaste in my mouth and my toothbrush. And so I was like, like swearing and like having a moment of like, being stung by this wasp. And my husband was like, "Are you okay?" But I couldn't, I, like, but I was telling my kids this, and they were like, "Mom, you can't just stand still and brush your teeth." And I'm like, "No, I feel like as a Gen Xer, like I am driven to productivity even while brushing teeth." But anyway, that's what came up for me. Is like
Oh,
sometimes,
that's funny. I feel like my husband would say that too. Like you can't just brush your teeth, and I'd
yeah,
be like, I'm like, I mean, might as well, take the time. So now it's
right,
nice. Like then I'm like, oh, I get my tree pose in every day.
exactly. It's good time management, I say.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you created a vision board though more about a vibe and more about like a feeling than necessarily outcomes or things. And so if people wanted to take this technique at home, you've recommended a quarter sheet of paper, a half sheet of paper, cutting out all kinds of things that feel good right now, and then gluing them down. And then did you also have some sentiments on yours? Did I see some text?
Yes, like I feel so one says be in nature, and then that's like above I mean, like I said, the yoga person is in nature. Then
Mhm.
there's like a cabin in the woods by a lake, and then a new, or I'd say for the past year I've been working on like raising my vitamin D and getting
Yeah.
up, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, and then getting out in the sun during the day.
Mhm.
So I have rise and shine, and then I had like there was like a little sketch from a magazine of a sun, and then I have yoga on here. So rise and shine, and then I found one that said sunrise, sunset, and I was just like, I mean, it's just so fun when you start flipping through and you just think of, you don't even have to think of what you need, your
Right.
body just knows, like you're just looking at stuff. And then I have peaceful reflection, and that is over, there was a reflection like on water. I was like, there's a like trees and there's a
Mhm.
reflection on a lake. And magical is a word I have on here. I just kind of, I mean, I kind of think of like spirituality and magic and science, they're all
Mhm.
trying to say the same thing. And then earth, I've been trying to make a point of standing barefoot on the earth, like taking time. I try to do that when I watch the sunset. See, like we're combining our things.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just like you said, just how you're feeling, right? Like I can just get so up in my head, so caught up
Yeah,
in everything. And then I grounding is something that I need to remind myself, like that earth
right.
energy, slow down. And then meditation is another thing I have on here. And they're actually things I'm all doing. And
Mhm.
like I said, it's like the vibe on here is the, kind of like the version of myself, that I want to be like doing things consistently.
Mhm.
That, and then like when you do those things consistently, I mean, you just, like kind of the things I say when I teach is like you create the vibe in your life, like figuring
Right.
out what do you have control of, what do you not have control of, like, so the things you do have control of, how can you kind of
Mhm.
create the vibe you desire?
Well, and I just was watching a video yesterday actually on TikTok. I cannot remember the creator. She's famous. She's got a large following. She's got blonde hair, big chunky black glasses. Ugh, I'll find it and link it in the show notes. But she had on like a neuroscientist, and they were talking about manifesting and like it was manifesting in a way that it had like this scientific approach. And this neurologist was saying that a technique to try is writing something down, reading it out loud, and then so writing it, reading it, and I'm not describing it very well, but the idea was that we pull it into our self-conscious because we've given it so many senses, right? We wrote it, we read it, or maybe we cut it, right? Like we did something, and then we keep it fresh in our awareness so that it is easier to come to us because we've put it in there so many different ways. And so I guess my point is if you're not quite sure how like a vision board works or how manifesting works, there's like definitely some science to back up these artistic approaches to it, in that it is, tackling all of our senses, and so that the world unfolds, right, in more intentional, purposeful ways. Can you describe that any better than I did, Kerry? Like that's
Well, I
basically
know I did like a transformational life coaching program, and there's like the reticular activating system in your
right.
brain that when your mind sees something, and like you said, reading it, and
Hmm.
then like it gets filed in there, and then there
Right.
is more science. But I will say I will learn the science. I'm never good at repeating the science.
Right,
I am
exactly. But
definitely
the
more of
idea is that, like you have it, you write it, you read it, and like his example yesterday was in the art of writing it, comes into your neurological business. The same way we're saying cut it and glue it, right? It's the same ideology. I'll have to link it. It was absolutely fascinating. But like, how often then do you refer to this mini little piece of art that you've made?
so I try to look at it every day. But it could just be like a glance,
Sure.
or sometimes like part of my morning meditation.
Hmm.
It's like I will look at it and then kind of feel the feelings, and then like how you can work with it. And if you want, and I did this on my calendar, like I didn't write anything on the back of this, but you could write on the back like a statement of like what your life
Mm,
would feel like if everything on there was
right.
true. So I made on my calendar like a daily mantra that shows up in my email. Like it's on my schedule, so then
Yeah.
when I wake up, when I do check my email, it's there, and I click on it and I read it. And one of the things is saying, like spend at least 5 minutes a day getting into this, like, calm,
What
chill,
a great
like
idea.
magnetic version of myself. And then
Right.
usually by that point, I've already done that. And then like, if you do like to journal, like whether like art
Hmm.
journal or whatever, it's like after you spend time kind of looking at it, close your eyes, get into the
Hmm.
feelings of it, and then, open your eyes and just journal like what came up. And sometimes, so I feel like when it comes to manifesting, they always say like, don't focus on the how, like let the universe do that. But to get
Hmm.
your brain going
Right.
and to kind of tell the universe that you're serious is that you could, after like looking at it, being like, what are some ways that
Hmm.
would bring that into my life? And then you jot them all down. And whether or not that's how
Love
they
that.
all come in
Right.
doesn't really matter, but
Well,
it's
and
kind of
I
weird.
love, I mean, who doesn't love to collage? Like, collaging is so fun and free, and there's not a lot of like, there's no rules, right? And there's no quote unquote perfect collage. There's no collage Olympics, right? Like, there's nothing to judge it against.
It is, and everybody has such different takes. Like
Right.
I always love it. Every time I teach it, like I'll even show people, like sometimes like I like to pull like certain colors and stuff
Sure.
together, and I'll like say that, and then like half the people will be like, well, whatever.
Right.
I'm not doing
Right.
that.
Right.
And
Different. It
like they
comes up
do
different for
their
all of us.
own thing, and I
So,
love it because I'm like, that's what I like to do. You need
right.
to do what you
Exactly.
like to do. And even the way people cut things out, like some people like to follow a form,
Ooh, I love the
like
fussy
they'll
cut.
go all around that, and then like I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I tend to be a little boxier with
Yeah.
my stuff. And then like I'll layer stuff, and
Yeah.
it's fun. And then it is neat to see how other people do it, because it really is about getting you into a vibe that
Right.
you look at it and you're like, oh, I feel good just
I
by
love
looking at
this.
it.
Carrie, I love this idea. And like, I can't even, like, as you were talking about it, I was like, I wonder if I could like make a collage a day. Like, do I have, like, could I sit down and just do like a 4x6 index card? Like, ooh, wouldn't that be so fun? And like have a year's worth. See, I'm always like, I can't just do the one for a while. Like, I'm always, anyway, I know what my issues are.
But
Anyway.
no, so that's my like DIY Oracle card class, is I
Oh,
have people
sure.
make 4x6, and then you laminate them, and then you cut them, and then
What
you can
crafter
use them
doesn't
like,
love a good
I know.
lamination story? Yeah.
Then you cut them so that they each have like a little laminated border.
Right.
And then as you like get more, but you could like hold them in front of your heart and be like,
Sure.
what do I need to know today? And then like I'll shuffle and you pull one out. And then for those, like if each one kind of has a different vibe or there's something
Yeah.
on there, like those ones I might have like a theme for each one. Um, and then that's kind of your message. Like maybe it's gratitude. So then that means that like I want to notice something that day that I'm grateful for. So you should consider like if you do like make like right, like make a bunch
Yeah.
and then right, because so that's why I end up collecting stuff. Like now I see things so differently. Like I tell
Right.
people when you're flipping through magazines, I go, it's not just photos. When there's like a
Words.
striped
Mm-hmm.
wallpaper in an ad, like
Mm-hmm.
cut the wallpaper out, like all the patterns. I
Right.
love collecting all the patterns, and then they end up fitting in with other things you find, and it's
That's
a really fun.
awesome. So, okay, so Carrie, you've got your two books, and we can find those on your website. You are facilitating at Craftcation, which is coming up in April in California. And then the Oracle class that you just mentioned, is that calendar specific or is that evergreen? Like, how can folks get in on like
I know. You
connecting
can
with
come
you?
to Craftcation. I'm teaching it there. I was
Okay,
like,
awesome.
and then I was thinking about doing that in January, in
Okay.
person and online.
Well, we will like have to keep our eyes open for that because that sounds like all that sounds awesome. So, thank you for that awesome discussion. And if you can believe it, we're getting near the end of our time, and I want to make sure I have time to ask you our 10 questions. It's kind of a
Okay.
fan favorite, like we do this with everybody. But before I get there, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on at Big Raven Farm. If you've all been following along, so, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have taken this big bite and we're almost done. We've got a really big event this weekend that we are definitely looking forward to. I mean, get this for an idea. So, we have a young couple that is getting married at our farm on Sunday, but they're having like a wedding retreat. So they're coming on Thursday, and then 16 of their friends and family are coming on Friday. And Friday and Saturday, they are playing games, doing crafts. I'm leading them in yoga. They're building bonfires. They're just hanging out and having time with each other. And then on Sunday, we have breakfast, and then they're getting married at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and 15 more people come. So it's a wedding for 30, but it's like a whole wedding weekend. And
Wow.
Darren and I couldn't be more excited. Like it just is going to be so great. It's going to be so great. But we've been working on that. And we love this couple so much. They've just been so delightful to work with. So much so that like they had two guests more than our home will accommodate. And so we gave them our bedroom and we built a bedroom for us in our basement. Now, our basement is unfinished. And I swear to God, Pennywise lives down there. Like, these are not like stellar accommodations, but we love them so much that we become basement dwellers. Anyway, it's going to be great. So after that, we then have our last cooking retreat of the season. That one's been sold out for months, and we're really excited about that one. So we've got 3 cooking retreats coming up in 2025. We've got several art journaling retreats, yoga retreats. We have a tarot retreat. We're even doing a resin retreat, and we're trying to like put the finishing touches on an embroidery one. So keep your eyes open on our retreats page. We're hoping to get all of those registration pages organized by the first week in November, maybe the second week in November, for everything that's happening in 2025. So keep your eyes open because it's all unfolding as we speak, but really, really exciting stuff. So thank you for giving me a moment to talk all about that. So, Carrie, back to you. I have very important questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, what is your favorite word?
Well, it's funny. I think vibration.
Well,
I was like,
sure.
I have 2 other books. I'm like, that's going to be in the title. So
Yeah.
I could have thought more about that, but I'm like, no, it's
No,
vibration.
that
It's just,
makes sense. That makes sense. This week, my favorite word is like I don't know what it is. I know what the feeling is, but it's like whatever the word that means slow and steady, like whatever that is, right? Because I'm trying to get through a really busy time, and I know that it is a marathon, not a sprint. So I'm like,
It's like grounded,
Right,
right?
right. Like,
Rooted or yeah, I don't
yeah, you
yeah.
know what I mean? Is that whatever that
Yeah,
is,
I
that's
love
what I've
that.
been thinking about a lot. So
Yeah.
then do you have a least favorite word?
It's not mine, but you say it. It just always one of my kids and I think it's a lot of people's is moist.
Oh, that's fair.
Like
That's
that.
fair. Right now,
I think
mine
he
is
always is like, oh, it makes him like you said. It
yeah,
affects his vibration.
yeah, that's awesome. I think this week my least favorite word is in the category of bro, bra, and bruv. And I do not know why my 20-year-old son insists on ending everything he says with bro, bra, or bro. I'm like, Charles, I'm mom, mommy, like mother, like any one of those, but I'm not bro. Like
I've
I just,
heard that of kids saying that to their mom, and they're like, "What?"
yeah. And I feel like it's just become like a tick. Like he just ends every sentence with bro, bro,
Oh,
and I'm like, sir, I am your mother. Anyway,
oh my gosh,
um,
that's so funny.
okay, so what is the best kind of sandwich?
What is the best kind of
Mhm.
sandwich? Um, I was gonna
Ooh,
say anything on a croissant.
oh.
Yeah, I was like, I
I've
love a good
forgotten
croissant.
about those. That's so
Yeah,
smart.
that
Yes.
always makes me happy.
You can't go wrong. Like, I can't think of anything that would be wrong on there. I'm kind of right now, I'm in a phase of so Prue from British Baking Show, she's like my favorite person in the food world. And she wrote a book about toast. And I just love toast. It's like my favorite food.
The book about
But
toast.
one of
That's
her
awesome.
ideas is like some kind of protein and then like a soft cheese and then blackberries and a spicy sauce with arugula. Like arugula is the key. It's so good. I
Yeah, that
highly
sounds
recommend.
awesome. Yes, I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, it's
That
like the
sounds delicious.
sweet and savory, like it's all good. Oh my gosh, maybe on a croissant. Let's just blow our minds right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what does being an artist or creative mean to you?
Um, that you are kind of aware of your creative power,
Mm.
and it does not matter the medium.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I feel like you're an artist of your life,
Yeah,
but think if you look around the world right now, so many people don't understand that they are or
right.
that they could be. Um, right. So when you're like, I mean, you're always curating things
Mm,
and pulling things together that go well. And I feel like you're seeing things you're like, oh, that didn't really work.
right,
And I also say like an artist, like somebody who's willing to make mistakes.
right. I love that. I love that you are an artist of your life. Like, I'm gonna keep that in my life. I love that, Carrie. That's like such a great way of saying it. I should maybe put this question before because it's a little a little bit more trivial, but what is the scariest animal?
What is the scariest animal? I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, what would like really Oh, well, I don't even know if it's an animal. I was like, does a bug count?
Yeah,
I
totally.
was like, what is something that I really just do not like? And it's a cockroach. And it was
Oh,
funny. I lived in Chicago when I met my husband.
fair.
And even if I lived on like the eighth floor and there was a bug, I'd like open the window in the middle of winter and like put it out. And then we
Yeah,
moved back to Arizona. And like as soon as it got hot, there was a cockroach in our house. And I like went after it with the shoe. And my husband was like, who is this? He's like, I've
right,
never seen this side of you. And I was like, oh, cockroaches, I don't let them. They don't live. I was
right.
like,
I I'm gonna agree with you that it's just kind of
I was like, yeah, that's the one I
yeah.
can't.
When I first moved to Baltimore, my starter husband and I, we we had a home that had these bugs, and like our landlords knew that we were from Minnesota and just out of college, and they told us that the roaches were water bugs.
Oh gosh. Ooh, ooh.
Like that makes it different or better. But yeah,
Right.
like I have so many memories of like getting a glass and like whoop, like putting the glass over the bug and
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. I agree. I agree. So, is there a sound or a noise that you love?
A sound or a noise that you love. I'd say right now
Mhm.
it's my cat's purring and my pug snoring.
Oh, that's
Like
so
he's like a
sweet.
little pig. Like they like
Yeah.
he like snorts, you know, like he's very loud.
Yeah.
And then I have like this one cat that just like when I like will like sit down or like recline a little bit, just gets right
Mhm.
on my chest and purrs, and I feel like I'm like it's like you've been brought to me to stop and
Mhm.
just listen to your purring, pet you, be
It's
in the
so
moment.
sweet.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what
I
animals are so good at, right?
I've talked about this on several shows and like I'm not usually too judgy about people and about things, but like I do have a bit of judgment about people who don't like animals. I'm just like, I don't really understand you. Like how is that even possible? Because they're like the best.
Well, and it makes you wonder because if you're not taking a little bit of time, like they do, they
Right.
bring me into the present moment. They make me have like a moment of gratitude throughout the day that I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank you for
Right.
letting me stop for a moment and have to like focus on you or take care of you or just rubbing
Right.
their belly or, yeah, I know.
Oh, for sure. So for me this week, my favorite sound is I'm definitely a white noise person when I go to sleep. And so the fan that sits right on my bedside stand and like blows right in my face because I'm a woman of a particular age and I'm
Yes.
hot all the time. It's the sound of that fan that indicates this day is done. You may lay down your weary head and get some rest. Like that has been, oh, like my most favorite sound so much. Love it. Is there a sound or noise that you hate?
Fingernails on a chalkboard.
Fair. That's the worst. That is the absolute worst. Even just
As soon as you
thinking,
said it, I got like I had a
right?
visual.
It just comes, right? Like it's just right there. I totally agree. I think, Carrie, there's going to be a time when people won't get that reference because of more
It is, yeah,
whiteboard,
I know, you're right. I'm like, gosh, yeah, huh, that's
right?
funny.
Right? Because like I think my kids all know what it is, but I don't know that their kids will since we're, kind of into whiteboards, but
Yes, that's
kind
so
of
interesting.
it signals that we're Gen Z and
Yes.
above. So is there a profession like other than your own that you would like to attempt?
I Yes, I'm totally obsessed with Susan Branch books. Do you know who Susan?
Ah,
Like, I'm obsessed, and I actually started this summer asking people, like, for ideas, like summer. Like, I want to kind of make it like my type of stuff, like
yeah.
seasonal, like spiritual stuff, but have it look like hers. And then I was thinking about asking a friend to team up with me on it, and I still kind of
Mhm.
am. But then I was looking at her autumn one this morning, and I was like, maybe as something I could do and not with the intention of it being something. I was like,
Right, just
is
play.
maybe teach myself watercolor.
Right.
Um, and but like learn how to do it maybe in reference to some of my like ideas, like fall related stuff. See if I
Sure.
can do a watercolor pumpkin. Like that would and I feel like just as a way, like I'm good at some of this stuff, but I really would like to get better at that. Like I'm tuning out the world. I'm
Mhm.
sitting down with my paints, and I do that for fun occasionally. But I wish
Sure.
I'd love like oh my gosh, that would just seem dreamy. Like write books and
Mhm.
paint watercolors and teach
Right?
children. Yes.
I've been thinking that I mean, maybe I can still do it, I don't know, but, like, I would like to be, like, an installer, like, well,
That's like
like, some
I
of
was like
my
of art and
yeah, art,
like
art,
art
like,
installation. Okay, I was like
yeah,
for
like,
refrigerators.
some of my projects are so big, and it's like, my book wall of 100, right? It's 100 folded books. And it was a huge project to fold the books, figure out the grid, get it installed. But like sometimes too, I think about wouldn't it be cool to have like an entire wall of book flowers, right? Like I'm talking
Yeah.
like huge, like airport size, like if that's a job,
Ooh.
right? If and it could like be about like the perspective could be about like all of the books that end up in landfills and what are some of the creative things that we can do with them. So I don't know if that's a thing that
Yeah, like
anybody but
public
me,
art.
right, like public art
Because
and
there's a big
even coordinating it could be kind of cool. But I don't know if it's another profession or if it's an extension of the profession I already have, but I think about that kind of stuff a lot.
There's a
And I
public art thing that starts next week called Canal Convergence here. And leading
oh,
up to it, that is one of the, like, that's, they look for those people. I was
see,
like, so
I
yeah,
didn't
like
even
you'd
know
have
that
to
was
look like public art and public art installations, public art
yes.
creators. So yeah, keep that, file that
I
somewhere.
definitely will. I didn't even know that was a thing. It's just something I've
Yes,
been thinking about a lot.
I love
So
it.
is there a profession that you would not like to do?
Clean porta potties.
Oh God, that's a good one. And Carrie, so specific, but yes. I actually have a fear of those things from seeing movies where people tip them over. Like, I don't understand. Like,
I don't
I
know if
don't know.
anybody actually cleans them. You might just pick them up and haul them somewhere, but whatever.
I'm with you. I'm not doing that. No.
I am very grateful for the people that do.
Right?
It's like I will also, yes.
Fair enough. So
Thank you.
years ago, one of my good friends and I did the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, the 60-mile one. We did the 60-mile walk.
Wow.
So it was 20 miles a day over the course of 3 days. And the thing that we learned was that you do not want to be at the end of the pack. Like when you get to like the break points
Oh,
because of the whole porta potty situation, because they're in a different state if you're at the end of the group. So we were like hauling took us just to get there so that we weren't at the end of the group. Enough said. I believe I've created a visual. You know what I'm talking about. All right. So finally, last question. What brings you the most happiness?
um, my home with my family in it. Yeah,
That's
like
a
I've
good one.
worked. Um, if you're into astrology, I'm a rising Cancer sign, and that's very home focused, which I didn't even like make that connection. But like you see, like behind me, I mean, just
Yeah.
everything needs to be cozy, creative, have meaning. Be from somebody I know that I created or that my kids created, or
Right.
and then just when they're all here, I feel like I've done a really good job of creating a space where everybody feels good. They also feel represented. Um, that I do. I really love being here.
I love
Yeah.
that. I've learned recently, I used to think that it was like kind of getting lost in my art or like having opportunity to, connect with the ability to make things. But I've discovered really what makes me the happiest, other than, observing our children in their happy times, is that I really love taking care of people. And like, I love seeing people and, um, just being like a student of observation, and like when people come into our home, connecting with them for sure is my most favorite thing. And like this job that I have is really rewarding. I got so lucky.
I
So,
love it. I know. So it sounds like you're doing what brings you the most happiness.
right?
Yay,
I totally am.
Jolene.
Maybe that's how I'm getting through my bite. Anyway, well,
Yeah.
Carrie, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with me. And in our show notes, I will make sure that I link people to where they can find your books, where they can find you, Craftcation. I'll even like link a little Susan Branch in there. So if people are familiar, they know who she is, because that an
I
incredible
know.
artist, just so warm on the insides.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do all of those things. So thank you
Wonderful.
so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I was going to say, if you need energy for the rest of the day, breathe through your right nostril.
Oh, thank you. And that goes for all of you,
Yes.
all of you listening.
Yes.
So if you've been on with us live, thank you so much for your comments in our comment section. I see you and I appreciate you. Be sure to keep your eyes on the Happy Time Craftcast so you know what's coming up next. Everybody, please have a good day, and we'll see you next time.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.